Hi there. So I'm Sandra Parker, and today I am joined with the fabulous Annette. Hi, Annette.
Hi, Sandra. Hello.
Hi. So we're going to do, Annette's kindly agreed to do an interview today. And what's fantastic is Annette and I first started working together a year ago. Doesn't feel like a year, really, does it?
That was incredible, really. Really incredible.
Fantastic. So Annette and I are still working together. We started working together in the Tonic transformation program, and now Annette is one of the founder members of the Upgraded Life program. So I want to just take a little trip down memory lane to last year. So Annette, this is November 2022. So November last year, you filled in an application form. I'm going to read out one of the comments that you put in it, which is when I asked you to describe your current relationship with alcohol. So this was November last year, before we worked together. And you wrote here, drink wine daily in secret. Can you tell me a little bit about how you were feeling then and what your drinking was like?
Yeah, obviously I've been drinking, was drinking for quite a long time before I realised that there was an issue with how much I was drinking. Probably it was daily. I would try and do as much as I could, long as I could without drinking, but it would last probably 4 days. I was drinking probably, I'd say 8 to 10 bottles a week. And during COVID, obviously it got worse. That definitely escalated it. It was obviously started earlier. It wasn't just an evening thing when I was cooking the tea, things which obviously it used to be, and obviously sociable. And then it just started getting earlier and earlier, and more so drinking on my own because I was kind of ashamed of it. So rather than drink sociably, I would try not to drink when I went out, just kind of like prove to myself that I can do it. But then obviously I had to come home, weekends when people weren't around, when my husband's away, I would just make an excuse that I could drink now because nobody's there to tell me not to. So it was quite bad just before I obviously met you, and that's why I reached out for help.
Understand. And thank you for sharing that, Annette. So you felt quite stuck. And there'd been a few times you tried on your own and you got a couple of days and then just felt like you were stuck again.
Yeah, I just felt helpless, just totally stuck. I felt alone because I just thought I was the only one that was doing it. Beat myself up for doing it because you think that I know, why can't I be normal? It was a difficult time of my life, I must admit.
Understand. And so we met up, we had a conversation, and then we started working together. One of the things I remember about you, Annette, from day one was like you were absolutely all in. And so like the modules, doing the work, asking questions, being on all of the calls, like it felt to me like from day one you had made that decision that you were going to show up fully and do the work. Can you remember, did you make a sort of promise to yourself, or how did that work out?
Yeah, I did. When obviously after I spoke to you, when we had that first chat and you told me obviously all about it, I was so ready to change, and I wanted to give up alcohol because I just knew it was no good for me. I knew moderation wasn't an answer because I just didn't want to keep thinking and having that question in my head, or shall I drink tonight, shall I not? I just wanted that taken away completely. And I just thought, if I'm going to do this, I need to do it properly for me, for my husband, for my children. So yeah, I just wanted to do it all in, and just gave up straight away. And for the modules, etc., they just helped so much. So I just wanted to make sure that I was fully in with that. And just did the work that was needed to do to get through it, and it's obviously paid off.
Fantastic. And so when you first started then, and you're going through like the first few weeks, did you feel confident this was going to work?
No, not at all. For quite a while, I didn't. Definitely the first month, I was obviously doing it, reading all the exercises, the modules, reading all different literature that was sent out, and Googling lots of things myself really as well. And I just thought this is not going to work. I tried so many other things, but I just knew that I had to give it the 3 months that was planned. And then and it just went from strength to strength from there. But at the very beginning, you know, even after the conversation I had with you at the beginning, I just thought, I'm going to give it a go, but how can it work? You know, just literally doing the modules and listening to people. I just thought it was going to be one of those things that I would try, do my best at, and then see what happens. But yeah, it obviously did.
Okay, fantastic. And so we look back at those 3 months. So how did you find, like, you know, getting on a Zoom call with like other people in the group? What was that like for you?
It was very daunting at the beginning because I don't class myself as a confident person, quite shy. So coming on them calls, I was literally the first one I was dreading having to speak out, but I knew that I had to, again, give it my all, put in everything that I can to get the most out of it, and doing the call, being honest, speaking to people, introducing myself, etc. It was just the best thing that I could do to get everything out of it, and it definitely worked. It was it was very daunting at the beginning, but it just becomes second nature in the end.
And did you feel then that you like felt a connection to the other people that were going through the same thing as you? Did that?
Yeah, definitely. I look forward to the calls because I knew that when it was my turn to speak, I could speak with not being worried about judgment, about embarrassment, because everyone's been in the same boat, no matter where they come from, background wise. We was all there for that same reason. So you could be totally honest, and I really, really like that about the group. And everyone listened to what you had to say. And yeah, the support was there, and it was really, really good calls. I really look forward to it. It's my highlight of the week, actually.
That's fantastic. And then I'm just thinking about when we were working together. So, you know, you went all in, and some people give up alcohol. Like we spend a couple of months getting them to that point for the final month. You went all in from day one, and that worked for you. When we got to the final month and you were doing your 30-day challenge, you had like an all-inclusive holiday plans, right? And I can imagine a lot of people would be thinking, well, how's that going to work? So what was going through your mind? Like, so you were doing the 30-day challenge when you were going on that holiday. Did you think to yourself, like, I've got this, I'm fine? Or did you think this is going to be tough? What was it like?
I think when I first started the course, it did cross my mind that holiday was already booked. And I did think, maybe this is not the right time to do it, but then I thought, well, when is the right time? So let's go for it. I knew obviously the holiday was going to be at the end of the 30 days, so I would have a lot of knowledge of what obviously we was learning beforehand, so that I knew that would help. But I did think, well, I knew that I wouldn't drink because I was so far into it and feeling the benefits of not drinking. So I knew that I would stick to it. I didn't know if it was going to be easy, if it was going to be hard, because obviously there was a group of us that went, and I was the only one not drinking. But I did stick to it, and it was a lot easier than I thought it'd ever be. And I enjoyed the holiday so much more than I thought I would ever. I really did. I'm not just saying that. It was it was refreshing. It was an eye-opener of how good holidays could be without alcohol. And there wasn't much alcohol-free drink there. So we did have to ask the hotel to get some beer in for me, which they did. And I think once I had that, it was like a comfort blanket. So once I had that, and then they said that they had alcohol-free Prosecco, I was like, brilliant. And it was great. I didn't feel like I was missing out one bit.
That's fantastic. And for a lot of people in it, you know, one of the things that we tend to worry about is like peer pressure, right? So you said you were the only one out of the group not drinking. So like your husband was really supportive from the beginning, but when you were with your friends and they were used to like Annette that normally drinks, how did you navigate that to get comfortable with that?
Well, the good thing is we wasn't in the same hotel as everybody, so we was kind of like all plotted around the coast, so that was a little bit easier. Most of them did know that I was on a break from alcohol. Didn't really know the reasons why, but they knew that I was on the break. Couple of them offered me wine, and I said, no, I'm okay, I've got an mocktail. All they said was, oh, you're not finding it hard then? There was 15 of us at the table at the time. Are you not finding it hard, like drinking mocktails and we were drinking wine? I was like, no, it's fine, you know. And she didn't ask any more questions. That was it. So that was the only time that I kind of felt a little bit awkward, if you get what I mean, because I was being asked about it. But other than that, it wasn't an issue. It didn't cross people's minds. It was just, kind of like Annette, person that don't drink. That was it.
Fantastic. And you said you enjoyed a holiday more. So one of the things that we spoke about before you went away was about the benefit of, you know, enjoying being in a lovely surrounding, not being hungover, being able to get up in the morning and feel good and enjoy the whole day. Did you notice that? Did that feel different?
Yeah, absolutely. Normally it would be hungover, not rushing to get out of bed, wouldn't probably go and see the island, the scenery. We'd probably just get from the bed to breakfast to the pool bar, or, you know, to the beach. And that's where I probably would tend to stay, because I didn't want to venture too far away, obviously, from the alcohol, all-inclusive drinks, bar, etc. So we was getting up. Colin, my husband, was, you know, he was still drinking, and but it wasn't a heavy drink for him in the night, so he was getting up refreshed as well. We were going for breakfast, then we're going for walks along the beach, then we'd have a couple of hours sunbathing, and then we'd go off again. We'd obviously, we saw the island. We hired a car, which we would never have done. It just, and I remembered everything. Remember every single conversation with people. It was just a refreshing experience. The one that I wanted to repeat again, definitely.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. And the other thing I remember, one of the other memories for when we were working together in the 3-month program, is when we done an act together. So where we unpicked one of a belief that had kept you stuck, and we went through, you know, for you, we spoke about if you were at home on your own. I think a lot of people can relate to that. Like, you've not necessarily got anything planned, and you would have alcohol because you were a bit bored. When you think back to doing that, was that helpful in just letting you see some of the places that you've been stuck?
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely worth doing that. There was a lot of times where I would be home on my own, nothing to do, like my husband's at football or he was away, and I'd think there's lots of stuff that I need to do, but I might as well just sit and have a glass of wine, and obviously 1 into 2, 2 to 3, etc. So it gave me an insight. It's okay just to sit there and feel that feeling. There was obviously stuff that I could do, and I did, but sometimes I didn't. I just sat there. It was okay to watch Netflix. It was okay to watch a film. It was okay to leave the Hoover until a bit later, just sit and relax, etc. So that definitely helped, and I've definitely learned to do that and not feel bad about just doing nothing, basically.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
And so then, in terms of over the 3 months you're in the group, do you feel like you made good connections to some of the other people at the same level as you, going through the process together?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's hard not to, because, you know, again, you're there for the same reasons, especially obviously the girls that started at the same time as me. That's really helped, and we've kept good friendships. Obviously, they're still on the course, and it's lovely because you've got so much in common, and you realise that, you know, it's really weird that they're just as normal as you are, and they obviously can feel the feelings that you're having or had, and they know exactly where you're coming from. You don't need to explain yourself; they kind of just get it. So the connection with a lot of them is there, but especially obviously when you start someone at the same time with someone on the course, it's just that little bit extra it's really, really helpful.
Fantastic. And one of the things I loved in it, when you gave me like a really lovely testimonial that's on the website, and it wasn't just from you, it was from Colin and from your sons as well. Tell me about the difference you feel it made to your family's life when you got control over alcohol.
Oh God, massively. It was, before, you know, we'd have an argument, whether it be with my husband or my sons, and it would just escalate. I would find anything to pick at because, you know, I was obviously had a drink. I felt a bit angry, upset, and they just couldn't feel like they could talk to me. because I'd always shout and things like that. So for them to see me becoming not a proper mum, but becoming a mum that is there for them, you know, no matter what kind of occasions, it's massively changed their life. I mean, my youngest son, who I had a little bit of a rocky relationship with because he didn't want to see me drink, he couldn't understand why I was drinking. When he asked me to stop, I would say yes I would, and I didn't. So he had a lot of anger with it, and it's just been the best thing that I could do for my family. My relationship with my husband has changed dramatically. You know, it wasn't in a good place because of my drinking. No other reason. That was the only reason that it wasn't in a good place. And he's so grateful, obviously, that I've changed that, with his support, obviously, and with the boys' support. It's it's just been a massive change to all of us. That I mean, I'm especially thankful, but I know they're thankful for me putting in the effort and doing it.
And when you look back at like how you were before you started the program, and the reasons why you drank, like, do you feel like you've got the tools now that, you know, like, let's say that you have a stressful day, or one of your sons comes home and they're in a bad mood, or something happens, do you feel now that you've got the tools that you can handle that you don't feel like you're missing out if you don't have a drink?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I use a lot of it, the saying, you play it forward. So you know, if someone annoys me, the kids come home, or my youngest come home when they had a bad day at school, and he takes it out on me, I just sit back, I breathe, you know, see meditation sometimes, just walk away, calm down, and think, no matter what, drink's not going to make it any better, and just walk away from the situation. Whereas before, I wouldn't. I'd go back and I'd go back, and then I'd get all kind of like upset and think, oh, I'll go and have a drink. So like to calm me, and I know that obviously that doesn't work. So it's definitely helped me on that scale.
Fantastic. And then, so when you finished the 3-month program, like you came back from your all-inclusive holiday, you were still alcohol-free, and then you decided to join the Upgraded Life. So you've been in there since February.
Yeah.
So what were you looking for when you joined that, first of all?
I think after the 3 months, although I did it all alcohol-free, I felt comfortable, I still didn't want to be left feeling vulnerable without the support. And I did really think that would be the case. So I opted to go in the Upgraded Life because there was other, obviously, bits of my life that I wanted to change, like health and fitness. And I knew I probably could have done that on my own, but with the support of the group continuing, I knew that it'd make me stronger. And if I did ever have a wobble, which I didn't know if I was going to or not, I just thought that that's there for me to fall back on and obviously use. And it's, you know, obviously, and here I still am. So
fantastic. Yeah, and in the Upgraded Life, you know, as you know, Annette, we look at a couple of other areas that people want to focus on and what they want to get. You know, it's like, now that we are alcohol free, what else do we want to get after? So one of the ones that I think about when I think about you in the Upgraded Life is the brag book, right? So for people that don't know what the brag book is, we do use the brag book in the main program, but there's quite a lot to get through in the first 3 months, and we don't have a lot of time to focus too much time on the brag book, but it's a tool that we use to build our self-esteem. So like most people in it, I think it's fair to say that you found that quite difficult to do in the beginning. Is that fair?
Yeah, definitely. It was quite awkward to do, really, because things that, you know, that you need to put in the brag book, you wouldn't think about putting in the brag book because you just think, well, that's just a daily thing that you do. So it was quite difficult, and I didn't give it enough time. Probably at the beginning should have done it daily because it would have been a lot easier, because obviously that's what I do now and it's so much easier. It was kind of, at the beginning, I must admit, it was like the bane of my life. It was like, oh God, I've got to write stuff in it, and I just couldn't think of stuff. And then obviously talking to you and the girls and the rest of the people on the group, it's just like, oh yeah, I could have put that down. So it is just just putting anything down, and that's what I do now. Anything that makes me feel good, that is just I know that writing it down, and even just writing silly things and then looking back at it, it just definitely helps. And it's taken me a year to realise that now.
That's excellent. And so do you think that, you know, being a part of that group where we would have like a month-long commitment to like write your brag book and to ask for help each week, do you think that's what helped make it a daily habit?
Oh yeah, definitely, because when other people are putting it on the WhatsApp group, you don't want to be the one that doesn't do it. You know, you want to join in, you want to commit as they're committing, because that's what you're there for. So that definitely 100% helped, because sometimes you do forget, and it's that reminder that comes through on the chat. You think, oh God, I've not done that today. And then you just take 5 minutes out of your day, and then bam, it's done.
Fantastic. And how did you find having like the weekly call with the upgraded life? Like, what do you get out of that?
It's just like another catch up with your friends, really. It's like having a coffee morning, and just talking about their week and about any questions they have, any issues. And it's not obviously talking about the drinking. It's far from that now. It's their day-to-day life, any issues that they've had with their kids, with their job, you know, whatever. It's one that I still look forward to every week to do. And when I don't do it, you do feel that bit of disconnection there, and you want to obviously catch up on the chat and then make sure you're there for the next week to catch up with everybody. So it is nice. It is like a bit of a security blanket that you've got.
And because I know that whenever you're not able to make it, you always ask for the recording, so you always watch the recording. So it feels to me that you're somebody that's all in. Is that fair?
Yeah, 100%, because I know how much it's changed my life. And I don't think if I hadn't have used it to my best ability, as in the modules, the calls, the interaction with the other people in the group, I wouldn't have got half of it out that I have, and the knowledge that I've learned would not be there if I hadn't have gone all in and still doing it today.
That's fantastic. And so just thinking about your self-esteem, right, if we take like one of the things that you got out of it, so when we first caught up a year ago, like, would it be fair to say that you felt a lot, like the way that you described with your son and your husband, like a lot of guilt around your drinking? Is that fair?
Yeah, definitely. And that's one thing that I have struggled with for a long time. And it's only recently, I would say, that I am now putting that to bed a little bit and realising that it wasn't me, like, as in me personally. It was something that happened to me that I just got caught up in with the alcohol. It kind of creeps up on you and you just don't realise it. And it has taken a long time. I think because, you know, I felt like I wasn't the mother that I should have been. Felt like I've let them down, like myself down, my husband. But, you know, it was nothing that I could have done at the time. I didn't know how to get out of it. So that guilt is definitely subsiding now. And I'm just obviously trying to use everything that I've learned to put on to obviously anybody else that I could help, really.
Understand. And so we've removed that guilt, which has taken a bit of time. In terms of your self-esteem, do you think you feel better about yourself now?
Yeah, massively. Yeah, definitely feel more confident than I ever have. I've found my sense of humour. I've been told. I remember everything I say, so that obviously gives me confidence, because I remember conversations that I've had with people, because then I can go back with something. I've just come, like, people say that I walk into a room and I am a changed person, and I really do feel that I have changed as a person, and obviously for the better. But yeah, the way I look at things now is definitely different to what I did before, in a positive way. Fantastic.
And one of the things we were talking about earlier, and it is something that I get people to do when they join the first program, is to take a selfie in the beginning, and then to take another one like 3 months later. And, you know, I could see the difference in you week by week from the first conversation we had until now. And you said to me earlier that people tell you look 10 years younger. Like, that must feel amazing. What's that like?
Yeah, it does, actually. And I when I go on the dog walk, I occasionally take a selfie just to keep in my kind of like little pile of photos that I've done since the beginning of the course. And it definitely does help doing that 100%. And it just feels, I just feel really proud that I've accomplished something as big as this. And it may not be to anybody, you know, everybody else that hasn't got an issue. They just think, you know, okay, whatever, you're giving up drinking, so be it. But it's so much more than that. So it feels really, really good. And I think I come across that way with other people, you know, confident. I don't just sit in the corner anymore. I make an effort to make conversation with people around the table because I've got nothing to be ashamed of. I'm not hiding anymore.
That's fantastic. And do you feel now that, like, say one of your sons, if they were worried about alcohol, do you feel like you're able to have like an authentic conversation with them?
Yeah, definitely. I do find myself saying to them, obviously to my eldest one, you know, you don't need to drink. Well, you might as well just drive and that kind of thing today. And I've got to be careful, obviously, I don't shove it down their throats, but I am very mindful of their ages. The society is today so acceptable. It's so acceptable. And it's obviously, it's just a thing to do. But yeah, I definitely would have the conversation if I thought that it was coming a bit of a problem for them.
Fantastic. And going back to the friends that you made in the group and that you still have in the group. So I know that you've caught up with some of them, like Shannon and I were talking about out with Zoom, right, in real life. And we obviously went out for lunch as part of the Upgraded Life group. What was it like to see people face to face after you'd shared all this stuff with each other online, and then you come and see them in the flesh? What did that feel like?
It was so nice, but I was really nervous, and I don't know why, because obviously you told them so much about yourself, and you've heard from them, and you feel comfortable with them on the Zoom. But I don't know, it was just that really nervous feeling that you had like your first day at school or your first job or something. But as soon as you walked in there, and I was a bit worried that I wouldn't recognise them. I don't know why, but because I was obviously seeing them every week on the Zoom. But yeah, and each day obviously we hugged, and then obviously we sat down. And we just chatted like friends forever. It was such a nice feeling. And you just felt 100% comfortable with them. You know, you didn't feel like you had to hold back, be anybody else. And it's just obviously the bond that you built up over the months. And obviously the things that you've got in common. It was so nice.
Fantastic. And in terms of like going forward in like being in the Upgraded Life group, like, tell me about the things that you're continuing to work on. Like is it the brag book? I know you're in health and fitness has been a big thing for you as well.
Yeah, health and fitness has definitely been a big thing. It has always, but obviously the drinking didn't help and stopped me from doing a lot of things. And obviously now we've got the dog. Early mornings are a great thing. I just feel so energized in the mornings. So I definitely want to work on that. And also just keep learning, you know, about the damage that alcohol does to you. I mean, I still obviously listen to podcasts every day on the dog walk. You know, TED Talks I still listen to, literature I've still got that I read. It's just so much that you can learn. And where obviously it's affected me so much since I've obviously stopped drinking, the way that my life's changed, I'm just really passionate about it. So I want to be able to continue that, you know, still obviously because there's so much to learn, but pass that on to other people. So that is my plan, is to hopefully start kind of coaching if I can. That's what I want to look into. The next step is, because I don't want to just let this be a year of my life and that's now done now. I don't drink and that's it. I don't want it to kind of stop. I still want it to continue with the knowledge that I'm going to pick up, etc.
Love that. And when you think back to how you were a year ago, like if you were to talk to somebody that was in the position you were in like this time last year, that was feeling really stuck, and they're watching this interview and they were thinking, oh, well, that woman Annette looks like she's got it all sussed. I'm not sure if this is going to work for me. Like, what advice would you give someone if they were considering this but they were a bit nervous?
I would just say, just keep an open mind. Whatever they've tried before, if they have, just put that aside and just keep an open mind on this, because at the beginning of the course, I really didn't think that it would work. I couldn't see how it would work. You know, I'd listen to these other people on the call who were like a month in, 2 months in, and they seemed to be getting it. And I just didn't think that it would happen to me, basically. But if you put the work in with the modules, you do everything that's asked of you, there is no reason that this won't work. You've just got to believe in the process, and it does work 100%.
Fantastic. And last thing I want to ask you was, I know that we like to celebrate the milestones along the way, right? So how many days alcohol free are you now? I'm
357.
How exciting is that? So just under a year. So tell me about, when is a year, Annette, sorry?
Year next Tuesday.
Fantastic. So a week today.
I know, yeah, I feel quite sick thinking about it, really.
So congratulations. So tell me about some of the rewards you've had along the way. And I'd love to hear what you've got planned for the 1 year mark.
Well, my 100th day, my husband bought me a designer handbag, which I was most grateful for, which is great. And then when I come to the end of the 3-month course, when I was in Barbados, I treated myself to a full body massage on the beach, which I'd never have done because I was probably too busy at the bar or asleep. So I really haven't thought about it, really. I know a couple of my friends have said, like, what are you doing? You've got to do something. And I just think it's such a part of my life now, not drinking. I know I should celebrate, and I will, because it's massive for me. I never, ever, and I know it's a cliche, but I would never have thought I'd be here this time last year. So I really need to think about it. And we're out tonight for my son's birthday. So me and my husband are going to come up with a plan to do something next week. I don't know what. I will keep you posted, but I will be celebrating it.
Yeah, and make sure you celebrate with your family as well, you know, because that will help you look back, and you know, it helps keep that momentum going, and it's another moment of success, another good memory. Yeah,
definitely.
Fantastic. So it's just been an absolute joy watching your progress. Like, you know, Annette, when you come in from day one, that's like, this woman's going to get the result. She's all in. She's there for it all. Even when you were on your all-inclusive holiday, you were still dialing into the calls. Like, you deserve every bit of your success. I'm sure you'll make a massive success, like, going forward as well. So want to say a massive thank you, and thanks for sharing your journey as well. I think this is going to inspire a lot of people. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, and I hope it does inspire people. It is the best thing that I've ever done, I must admit.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sandra.